Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Shannon Margaret B, and I have a new obsession with reading authors' books back to back to back. And today I have a very exciting author that when I started doing this, she was like one of the first authors I thought of doing this, and that is Catherine Steadman. So Something in the Water I read was probably the first handful of books that got me into adult fiction. This book always stayed with me and I really enjoyed her. Like, I feel like she's more of like a literary thriller writer. And over the years, she's come out with a lot of other books. I believe it's her first published book. And then over the years, I've seen her come out with a bunch of books. I haven't been able to thrift a ton. I've only been able to thrift one other book. In this reading vlog, we're not reading just one Catherine Steadman, not two, not three, but we're reading 4 Catherine Steadman books in this reading vlog. And I will be reading them all back to back, and I will give you an overall author review of Catherine Steadman by the end of this. I've heard really good things about The Family Game, so I'm very excited for this one. And then also this one, for some reason, I thought leaned a little like horror thriller, but I could be totally way off in that. I think the one that I've really heard nothing about is Mr. Nobody, which is funny because Mr. Nobody. I got the audiobooks for all of these as well, because as you know, I love to craft while I listen to books. And this one does not have an audiobook, at least on Libby that I could see, but on the audiobooks, Catherine Steadman narrates them herself. How cool is that? I think it'll be so fun to like actually listen to the author narrate their own book. I've gone on her Instagram and she is like the jack of all trades. I think she writes like show and movie manuscripts, and then she also is an author. She used to be an actress. I don't know if she still is. But yeah, her Instagram is quite wild and she's done so many things, and she's an audiobook narrator. So I'm excited to dive in and see what all of these have for me, and if I like any, if I find any new thriller favorites, if they are all thrillers. I think they are. I don't really know why they would like make the covers so similar, because it almost looks like this is like a sequel to this, but it's not. I will pretty much have synopsis and reviews as we go through the vlogs, but I just personally still love doing the formal reviews at the end for people who just want to skip forward and get a good review very quickly. So I will have full synopsis and reviews for all of these at the end of the video. If you want to just skip forward to the reviews and watch those really quickly, then you can follow the timestamps below. I will start with this one and I will check in with you when I have an update. Hello, so it is the next day and I have an update on Mr. Nobody. I'm about 75 pages in, chapter 9. I listened to a lot of it this morning when I was like at the gym and just doing stuff around the house. So right now I'm gonna like sit down and tangibly read it for a little bit and see how that goes. But the audiobook is very good. This book so far is about this man that shows up washed ashore on the ocean, and he doesn't really know who he is, what his life was. He doesn't even like know anything about himself, like his name or anything. And then you're also following like a neurologist who gets to study Mr. Nobody and find out like what happened to him and like what kind of like disorder he might have or what's going on in his brain. I think it's a super interesting premise for a book so far. However, I just need the book to like ramp up a little bit. It feels like it's starting very slowly, and I feel like I didn't need 75 pages to get here, but I'm not counting it out just yet, just because sometimes all the buildup is worth it. Like I feel like that with like Ruth Ware. Like sometimes her books, I feel like they have to have the buildup to be good. We'll see how this goes. Back up to my library hobby room to update you that I have been reading for an hour or two now, and I am on page 184, chapter 28 of Mr. Nobody, so I'm over halfway there, and it definitely picked up and I'm really enjoying it more than I was expecting to. I do like how the story is developing, and I think it's interesting to like kind of get to know more about Mr. Nobody and find out some reveals about him already before the book's even over. Since I did really like the audiobook when I listened to it at the gym this morning, I'm going to go back to the audiobook and finish my last and final coaster. So this one's really cool. This is the last one. I made a bunch of them. I'm probably gonna finish this today because I actually really want to know like what happened and what Mr. Nobody is and his relation to people around him and everything. I'm also watching Gabby Reed's sprints, which it was perfect because she had sprints as I started reading. And it's funny because I actually asked her, I said, do you have a favorite Catherine Steadman? And she said Look in the Mirror was one of her highly rated, and she also really did like The Family Game. So I was really anticipating both of these. I finished Mr. Nobody, and it really was a wave of up and downs of if I liked it or not. And ultimately, unfortunately, I did not like it. I think there were parts of it where I was like really into it, and I felt like I was watching like a really good like Netflix limited series, and I was like, ooh, this would be such good TV, like Harlan Coben type limited series. But I really hated the ending. I didn't like it at all. And I think I like when there's like those backstories, and somehow the backstories interweave into like what the actual story ends up being. But I didn't like that part either. So yeah, I was just pretty bummed with this one. The writing was fine. It was fast paced. Like I still got through it within a day or two, but yeah, it wasn't what I was hoping it would be, and it wasn't where I was really hoping it would go. But I do think, since it's about like this man that washed ashore and he has no memory of who he is or anything about himself. So yeah, it talks a lot about like memory fugue state, where like you don't have memories, or like they go in cycles of you do things and then you forget them, and then you do things and you forget them. So it is an interesting concept. I just didn't really enjoy how the story played out. But again, it was still fast paced, and like there's no issue with the writing. Like her writing didn't make me mad. I just didn't like how that twist worked. It definitely had some really good moments, and I was like flipping like, oh, I'm so into this. And then yeah, fortunately did not like the ending. And then today I did some crafting, and I went for a nice long walk outside, and I read outside a little bit because it's finally getting warmer in New England. It's supposed to be like pretty warm tomorrow, so I'm excited. But I made quite the dent in Family Game by Catherine Steadman. I was going to go in publishing order. My issue is that I've heard a lot of good things about Family Game and a lot of good things about Look in the Mirror, and I didn't want Disappearing Act to also let me down, and like have like two in a row that like let me down. So just in case maybe that one's not as good as these two, I like really wanted to get like a good solid rating on the board for Catherine Steadman. I'm on chapter 24, page 166, and I'm about halfway through. And I really like the setup of this one. So this is about this girl, and she's going to be marrying into like an affluent family, and they kind of have a little bit of a dark past. And she's also a thriller author, which is fun because Catherine Steadman. As she learns like a little bit more and more about this family, they kind of put her through some trials and tests, and it's just interesting. Like they want to see like how she can react to things and if she belongs in the family, and it's really fun. It's like a different type of story. It's very, very fun. I'm in a bit of a crafty mood, so I actually finished my very last coaster, which it looks so pretty in the light. It's like super shimmery. This is probably like the favorite one that I made out of all four. But since I finished that diamond art, I am going to move on to my next diamond art project. So this comes with, I think, 26 colors. So pretty much what I'm going to do is just listen to the audiobook and fill up all of this cool little mountains. Lots of stuff. Oh my god, this is going to be so fun. This is an 8x10 project. So it's not like those massive ones, but look at all of the colors in here. Lots of colors, but this is what the diamond art is of. Guys, these tapes, I'm listening to it. The tapes on the audiobook are crazy. like, if you haven't read The Family Game, there's a tape element involved, and it's like haunting. It is scary. I feel like these tapes are unhinged, and honestly, I love it. It's going in a much different direction than I thought it was going to. But like, this is getting crazy. I have no idea what's gonna happen either. It's just such a unique premise because it's like, I don't know, it's not your normal run-of-the-mill, like, someone's dead, who did it? Or like, who's this person's past? Like, it's a very unique book. But let me tell you, I just got to tape 3 on the audiobook, and I literally just shut it off for a second because I was like getting freaked out. It was like, let me just take a second. Read this book, what do you think of the tapes? And did you listen to the tapes? Because listening to it is a little scary. Also, if you're curious what I'm doing, so I have like these stackable containers, and I'm putting the number cutout into each one. Like, yes, it's a lot of work, and like, look at all of this, but now you never have to deal with the pouches again, or like siphon them into the pouches. So this is kind of what it looks like. So pretty much like, I'll know like 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 to 15, 16 to 20, and then this is 21 to 25. So it just makes it so much neater, and then like, you just like take out whichever little thing you need. And it just like, I don't know, it makes the process so much more fun. But honestly, even just doing this part of it was very fun. So yeah, I definitely like this little container. I'm pretty sure it's more of like a jewelry and bead container. It's not meant for diamond art, but I don't know. I mean, if you have the patience to sit there and like cut these little things out, like, it's kind of fun. It kept me pretty occupied. It was very relaxing to do with an audiobook. Hello, welcome to the next day. I have a lot of reading updates. If you see spots on my sweatshirt, I literally just spilt my coffee all over myself, and I tried to clean it up, but one can only be so good. So, Catherine Steadman, wow. I'm enjoying my time with her. So you saw I read outside for a little bit. I really dug into this. Absolutely loved it, obsessed with it. So fun, so unexpected, so different than a lot of the thrillers that I've read. And I just like liked the concept. I liked the twist. I finished it, and yes, this was just a fantastic book. It was really good. Like, there's no other way around it. It's a very good book. It's a very fun story, and I think it went in a lot of directions that I thought it was not going to go. And yeah, I was surprised. I was entertained. It's really all you can ask for in a thriller. So good for me. Yesterday, I read a lot of The Disappearing Act. I'm on chapter 25, page 189, so I actually only have a little bit left of this. And this has also been really fun. I don't love where it's going right now. I think the first 100 pages were a slam dunk for me. And then it kind of meandered into where I didn't want it to go. And I don't know how I feel about it right now. So I am going to keep reading it. Definitely going to finish it. I really do want to know what happens. And this one's also like short and quick. It's under 300 pages. Also, this is like a funky size. I love when like the paperbacks are like tall paperback. Book pretty much follows Mia. She's an actress who goes out for pilot season to LA, and then one day she's at an audition, and like one girl is up before her and is like, can you just fill my meter for me? And she does, and then she pretty much never sees that woman again, and she disappears. So Mia's kind of on this wacky trail to figure out what happened to this girl, Emily, that just disappeared into thin air. It is fun. I do like the Hollywood elements of it. It's a little like of the Evelyn Hugo feeling of like getting to see like the behind the scenes in LA and like listen to her talk about her auditions and producers and directors. Like, I just think that's kind of fun. So I do like the setting. I like everything. I just don't know if I like where it's going. But the last 100 pages, I have about 100 pages left, and that will ultimately tell me what I should be feeling. So this was an interesting week to say the least. I think I haven't had as much ups and downs with an author as much as I have with my week with Catherine Steadman. I'm going to review these in publishing order for you, and I will give you a quick synopsis, my rating, and why. The first book is Something in the Water, and this was an early Reese's Book Club pick, and this book definitely put Catherine Steadman on the map. It was published in 2019 and it's 384 pages. This story follows a couple who goes on their honeymoon to Bora Bora, and when they go scuba diving, they find something in the water. I gave this book 3 out of 5. I thought it was like a fun summary read, definitely a great vacation read, but ultimately I didn't really like the ending. I thought it was like a little gimmicky. Second book Catherine Steadman wrote is Mr. Nobody. This was published in 2020 and is 402 pages, so a little bit longer. This book follows a man that's found on the beach, and he has absolutely no idea who he is, what his life is like, and he is coined as Mr. Nobody. And Emma, who's like a neuroscientist, comes to study Mr. Nobody's case. I ultimately gave this book 2 out of 5 stars. I thought it was very long-winded and kind of just needed to get to the point and very repetitive. Unfortunately, thought the twist was a little silly in my opinion. Next book is The Disappearing Act. This book was published in 2021 and is 336 pages. This follows Mia, and she goes out to LA for pilot season, so they pretty much are auditioning a ton. And I think Catherine Steadman in the afterword says that she pulled from her own LA experience to write this book. When she's waiting for an audition, the woman that goes in before her says, "Can you fill up my meter so I can make this audition because the meter on my car is about to run out?" Mia goes and does it and never sees this woman again. She pretty much has to go on this journey to find where this woman went and what the heck is going on in Hollywood. I gave this book 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was a very fun, like, Hollywood mystery, and I really liked the ambiance and the setting. Ultimately, I didn't really love the ending, and I felt like there was a lot of things that were thrown into the book just for, like, some shock value, but I didn't really feel like they were explored enough, and the book kind of just like ended, in my opinion. The next book is The Family Game. This was published in 2023 and is 336 pages. This book follows Harriet as she gets engaged into this very wealthy family, and she meets them for the first time and learns that there's kind of something going on with this family, and they do all these wacky games as well. She kind of has to figure out what the heck is up with this family for herself before she decides to get engaged into this family. I gave this book 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was so fun. This was such a unique concept. I've never read anything like this book before. I thought it was so much fun. And I thought it was very quick, very punchy. You can read this in one sitting. I thought all the characters were interesting. And don't get me started on the audiobook. I just enjoyed listening to Catherine Steadman narrate her own audiobooks. But the audiobook and when the tapes come on is like chilling, and it's so perfect. And actually on all the audiobooks, I did listen and tangibly read all the books. So I noticed in the audiobooks, they really make them a little more immersive. And like if it's a phone call, you'll kind of hear like the phone call. And this in the tapes, you hear like traffic going by and background noise. It's really interesting. But yes, I loved this. I thought The Family was so fun. I kind of hope she writes a sequel to this if that's possible at all. And the last most recent book is Look in the Mirror. This is 320 pages and was published in 2024. When Nina's father dies, he leaves her this like crazy house in the British Virgin Islands, and she goes and has to figure out like what the heck is this house and why is it here and what does it do and why are all the mirrors just a little funky. Unfortunately, DNF'd this book around 60% of the way in, and it's sad because I think this is the first book I've DNF'd on my channel. This book was just very weird and so repetitive to me, and I felt like they were bouncing between the timeline of Maria, who's also someone who's stuck in a house, and it just like felt really repetitive. And I know there's people that love locked door mysteries, but this was just not for me. Sometimes I do like locked door mysteries, but this was not for me. Some of people's like absolute favorites, and it's really funny because I actually read a Goodreads review, and it was like if the family from The Family Game went on vacation and look in the mirror, like this would be their house, and it's just kind of funny. So overall, I personally find Catherine Steadman, she's a great popcorn thriller writer. I think a lot of these books you can read in one sitting, but I do find she has such strong storylines and they're very unique, but I just think her execution, I find her endings to be just a little clunky. But that being said, like I will absolutely read anything in the future that Catherine Steadman writes. I think like the gem of Family Game, like I'm just so glad I read all of these just to find The Family Game because I loved it so much. And I do really also think The Disappearing Act, the Hollywood storyline, is really fun. But if you've read any of these Catherine Steadmans, let me know what you thought. If you had any similar opinions or completely different opinions. I will say all her storylines just feel really, really different and like refreshing, and that's fun instead of reading like the same domestic thriller like 10 times from a specific author. That I hope you enjoyed my week with Catherine Steadman. Let me know if you have any other authors you would like to hear from me next. Bye!